Well, time to deal with the last of the easy gym badges. After this, we're gonna have to start work on Misty, which I'm not really looking forward to. I mean, basically, you gotta do a whole gauntlet of trainers, and you gotta get to her, and they're not particularly, enjoyable fights. I mean, I guess there's the fun of Dudley Do-Right, but for the most part, they're just really boring and weak, which always makes me complain when dealing with them. As well, someone can point out, I'm not forced to go through this stuff. I could pick other games to play. It doesn't change the fact that it's one of those parts of the game I really hate. Like there are scenarios I enjoy in Seven Kingdoms, and there are scenarios I despise. Like, Iron Fist and Velvet Glove is a scenario I hate. Like, even if you get good at the game, and I'd say I'm decent to pretty solid, when it comes to dealing with the AI, at least, that scenario just sucks. It sucks hard. Like, you start out in the middle of the map, and everyone hates you. So you're surrounded on all sides by enemies, and you're at the crossroad of everyone else's trade action. So you're constantly having to worry about people attacking you from every direction. And if you don't take them, if you don't keep their economies weakened enough, they can also get an economic win over you. Because it's like the first to 1,000 points, and economic score is a big part of that. So you're forced to go, like, really gung-ho on war on them. And the only option we have for doing that is to build a crap ton of catapults. And hope they don't notice. And they usually do. Because if you're building a bunch of weapons, in your area, someone's gonna come and investigate, basically. Like, the only options I have for trying to get around this is maybe use the villages as, like, a wall. Potentially, but that's still not a great option. Because it's hard to wall out the enemy in that scenario, because, there's trees nearby your starting location, so it's hard to avoid trouble. Like, the best option you have for doing it is to basically just constantly blow up your own forts. Because if they're attacking your fort and you blow up your fort, they just go back home. Because the AI doesn't, realize, like, oh, they blew up their fort. Like, I can go home now. That target doesn't exist. We did our job. We can go back, boys. Like, yeah, they just go straight home. Like, you can exploit the loving daylights out of it. Because once they get close to you and start attacking, they make it very hard to rebuild your base sometimes, because they'll just sit there and wait. And they'll usually take out all your war factories, too. Which means your offensive momentum can be cut. Ugh. I mean, there's other scenarios I don't like Impassable Isthmus, but that's because that one gives you, a short time limit. And it's pretty easy. Like, you just build some boats and send over a massive army and just wipe everyone out. And I don't like the lack of sophistication. I mean, this is a real-time strategy game, and my strategy is just Zerg rush the enemy effectively. With even less skill and style to go for it. Like, at least the Zerg rush is iconic. Rushing in, Seven Kingdoms only works when you're going up against one weak AI opponent. Because if you're going up against a whole host of kingdoms and you rush like that, the other kingdoms will have built up their soldiers enough, you can't possibly rush them, even if you have, like, 40 people. They'll still manage to win with basically just 8. Because training is really valuable. In fact, one of the big problems with the AI in that game is it spreads itself out. Like, when it captures stuff, it stays there. Which means they'll usually attack you in small waves. So one of my favorite strats is basically just capture random villages and then send all their people back to one central location. That way, I have a much larger, force there, so when they do attack, I can swarm them, kill that first wave. By the time the second wave gets there, it's already done with the first wave, so they can't, stack them on top of each other. become an overwhelming, you know, force. Like, the AI can definitely be dealt with effectively if you know what you're doing. Though I have to admit, I have no use for Toxic in this run. I mean, the main benefit of Toxic is you can, you know, use it on enemies to poison them very badly and watch them just bleed to death effectively. But that's not going to work for us. For obvious reasons. You know, like, we just have to take hits. Admittedly, we can get the leftovers soon, so maybe it'll work at that point, but then we'd have to basically have rest or something to recover from the damage we do take. I just don't think it's a really viable tactic. But that'll do it for this episode. Until next time, then. See ya.